Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man. Today we're looking at a little Singer featherweight made in 1964. And its born on date was May 5th, 1964. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Pretty cool, especially here in Texas, because we get all excited about Cinco de Mayo. We like to eat Mexican food. And some people, I've seen them, they drink amber-colored beverages. So here's a little celebration of that. A nice little machine. These fine folks have had this machine in the family since '64. And some of you folks think that wasn't such a long time, but for some of the younger folks, that's twice as long as they've been living. So, nice little machine. This one just needed a little cleaning up. You know, it's got a pretty good little finish for 221 from that era. These celery ones are getting quite collectible, quite pricey. Everybody has all the black ones and the centennials, and they got to have the free arm, and then they got to have this to complete the collection. It's a nice little machine. It's a sewing machine. It sews. It's a nice collectible, and it does all sorts of cool stuff. Forward and back. Step on the gas, it goes forward, and it goes back. And if that's all you need to do, you're going to go to the quilt retreat or something like that. It's nice and handy to have. Nice little machine. Very compact, very much in the realm of taking to the lake house or the RV or to the quilt retreat. It's a nice little machine. Now I'm going to show you real quick a few things, because the young lady that has it, she got it, and she's going to need to know a few things. That is, number one, these thread differently from a lot of machines. A lot of machines thread one way. This one threads completely different, and that's because it's a side load. Let me get this needle thread out of there. It's a side load, and the thread goes right to left, inside out. The flat side of the needle, you can see the flat side there. When you insert a new needle, get the shiny, flat side of the needle goes to the left. A lot of the side loads go to the right. And when people call me and say, I broke a needle and I can't get my machine to sew, the needle becomes unthreaded, I say, turn your needle around. Bingo, done, fixed. Do that 10 times a week, sometimes 3 times a day, but it's pretty common. It's flat side to the left, and you have the little thread guide on the right. Let's get a close-up of that so you can see what I'm talking about. Somebody goes, I didn't see that. You did that too fast. You talk too fast. You talk too slow. No matter what I do, somebody has a gripe with it. I'm thinking, well, a 5-minute video, I stole 5 minutes of your precious life. I hope you recover. Here you go. See, the thread guide sits over on the right-hand side, so it comes in from the right-hand side. That's a little clue for you. So when you thread this up, always, step one, I always tell you, raise the presser foot up. And you can see what happens when I raise the presser foot up. You can see these tension discs, they release. See, this little plunger inside makes this release. They open up. That accepts your thread. That's critically important. Raise the presser foot up. And what you have is a tension assembly that's ready to accept the thread. If you don't raise it up, you've already misthreaded the machine. So you take your spool over here, spool of thread, whatever it is, thread guide 1, hold the thread still. See the little ear, little shiny ear here? Put it in front of that, and it'll slide right between the disc. Keep holding on, lift it up till it clicks. Click. One behind the little guide. This is very fragile. Be easy with that. And then lower the foot there. Lower the foot at that point. Pull. If you got it between the disc, you'll feel the resistance like someone has a hold of it and won't let go. Then you continue to thread it right to left through the take-up lever, then down to the needle. You got a thread guide hiding back here, thread guide up here, thread guide, and then the one on the right-hand side that tells you the clue, it threads right to left. And I'm going to get real brave here and try to thread this with everybody watching, and that's almost always a foolish task, because when people are watching you, it gets way hard. And I've got to do it in this camera. See if I can do it outside the camera. Maybe that'll help. Whoa. First try. It's going to be a good day. That's how you know. Even though it's 20 degrees outside and about 40 in here in the shop. We don't have the AC going today. We have the heater running, because it's one of those days in Texas where it actually does get cold here. Down south of us, they're getting snow down there in Houston and all that. But we're not getting snow. We're just getting a little brisky. brisky stuff. All right, got the thread. Hold the threads before you get started. Always hold the threads. Take that first stitch either by hand or by pushing the button. Always hold the thread so it doesn't jam. When people say, I take off and I get that big pile of thread underneath for the first stitch. Hold the thread so it doesn't do that. That is critical. Now let's wind a bobbin. Let's wind a bobbin real quick. I already threw a bobbin on here. It's empty. It's always good to thread an empty bobbin. I see people, they'll thread one color on top of another on top of another, but you know, once you cover that thing up, it's gone forever. It's not like you're going to pull off 15 colors to get to the yellow that you originally had. So buy a bunch of bobbins, wind them up. Let's wind this one up with my favorite color, red. Here we go. And people say, where does that thread come from? Out of the sky? No, I got a spool stand over there. So let's say if you're threading the machine with a spool on it, you would run it over here to the left-hand side. So we will simulate that, even though I'm running it off a spool stand. If you have a spool stand and you want to wind a bobbin, do this also. Pretend you have a spool here, but bring it over there, all right? So you start out over here, then you go over to your guide, to the left, to the right. See how I did that? Let's do that again, because you're going to say, you did it so fast, I didn't see it. All right, I understand. Sometimes I get carried away here. And if you've never seen one of these before, you don't know it. So let's make sure we get it right. This little guide, you're coming from the left. We already cut that other one. So we bring it over here. We go here and there. See? And that is going to be our guide before we come up to the bobbin, which is going to be up here. And when you're at the bobbin, what you always do, let's bring that up a little more. Your bobbin, of course, has the holes in it, both sides. Good quality bobbin. Catch those at the featherweight shop. Make sure they're good ones. I always twist the end and I put it through a hole on the left-hand side. All right? So now we got the hole on the left-hand side. We got the thread coming through, inside out there. Let's get it back to the big picture so you can see what's going on. Let's get this out of here so it doesn't distract you. We got the thread going over here, over like I showed you here, straight up to the bobbin, and I hold on to the thread, disengage the hand wheel. Over here on the side, you disengage the hand wheel clutch by holding the outside wheel and turn the inside towards you. That disengages it, so it will spin independently from the machine. See how that spins without the machine? And then what you got after that, let's cut some of this excess off. We got a little carried away here. Push your wheel down until it touches the belt. Hold on to the thread as it comes out of the bobbin and let it start winding like so. Let it start winding. And it's a good idea. I've got to get a close-up on that so you see what's going on. It's important to not have any threads hanging outside of your bobbin. So you're holding on to it here. And if you hold on to it and you run it, just hold it lightly. It'll cut loose. It's gone. It just goes away. And then you make sure it winds perfectly on your wheel, back and forth, so it's even. It's nice and even like so. And if you hold down here, a lot of times it's a good idea to hold on to this, kind of put a little brake on it so it'll wind real pretty. Back and forth, back and forth. And you can help it to make sure it's nice and even. Doesn't hurt to help it. There's an adjustment down here. If it's way off, you loosen this screw, slide it to the left. If it's bulking up on the right, slide to the right. If it's bulking up on the left, to get it nice and even. And while I got you here on the bobbin winder, I'll tell you this little helpful hint. I get in featherweights all the time, and it's sitting in the carrying case, and the bobbin winder is way up here. That's a disaster waiting to happen. You don't do that. If this gets bumped by anything at all here, this gets bumped right there, this is the Achilles heel of the machine. It's very fragile, that casting right there. If this snaps off right here, it's game over for your machine. You are going to see the value plummet from, like this one here, currently is probably between 900, maybe 1,200. The value will plummet to next to nothing because nobody's going to want it. They are not going to want to buy a Sidewinder because you can't fix it. Whenever you ship these, always take this screw out, put this apparatus, this, and the bolt, and the washer in a Ziploc, and tape it down, send it along. But because if you can break off the tension assembly, you can break it off the take-up lever, you can break off the spool pin. There's so many things you can break off on this thing when you ship it irresponsibly without packing it properly, but they can be overcome. The only thing that cannot be overcome is when this breaks off here at the tab. Don't be that person that gets one. If somebody's shipping it to you, tell them to take this off. If you have to, tell them to watch this video. Tell them to smarten up, because it will not fix. The only time I have a featherweight, regardless of whether it's a black one or a tan one or a white one, celery, if it's being stripped for parts, it's because this is broken off. Otherwise, they're always fixable. Everything on them, one screw, boom, you can fix it. So be careful with that. So when you're ready to go back to sewing, all you do is put your thread back up on top. 10 stitches per inch is what you're usually going to be at. That's the stitches you're going to see things made in a garment factory right here. 30, 20, 15, 12, 10 stitches per inch. That's a garment. Always keep this down real close to the belt so that it's guarded by the hand wheel so it doesn't break off. All right, so you got this thing ready to go over here. Make sure it's nice and untangled. Tighten your clutch down, step on the gas, and you're sewing. My tension's on 4. That's almost always a factory preset. If you find yourself spinning this dial back and forth, trying to figure out how to balance the tension, and the tension doesn't change, something else is going on, it's going to be a misthreading. Put it on 4, leave it there. It's very rarely going to be off from the factory. The bobbin case is down here. I'll show you real quick while we got you. Bobbin case is here, and I've showed you before in other videos how to load the bobbin case. It's always wherever the little notch is. Let's get this a little bigger. You see the little slot on the bobbin case. So hold the latch. When you hold the latch, you'll see the bobbin slot for the thread right there. See how it goes in a direction? It goes like here. It's going down. The slot goes down. So if you're holding this facing you and you want to load the bobbin, let's get it turned properly here. If it's going down, you always want to have your thread going up. So it goes against the slot. See, the slot there is going down. So you want it going up, like so. And it goes in the slot, down, and then through the little fork here. Pops out the top. And you hold on to your bobbin case with the latch. And once you have hold of the latch, it won't fall out. And then you put it on the post, down underneath. Right there. Snap it on the post, like so. It's going to go left and right. It's going to snap in. It's got to be flush, snapped all the way down. So it's snapped in. You'll see it flush there on the edge. Then when you go to pick it up, you put the thread to the rear, turn the hand wheel towards you. It picks the thread up, and you put them both to the rear. Hang on to them to lock the first stitch. Once you do that, hold on to them to lock the first stitch. Tension on 4, press the foot down, ready to go. And you're sewing. All right? A little quick tutorial and a couple little handy tips on keep your little machine going and how to run your little featherweight. Nice little machine. You can grab one of these. They're getting hard to find. This one was made in 1964, May 5th. It's called the CINCO de Mayo.